Martin Scorsese's 2019 gangster movie The Irishman was the director's opportunity to make another film with his longtime collaborator Robert De Niro after more than 20 years. Along for the ride came frequent Scorsese collaborators Joe Pesci and Harvey Keitel, and Al Pacino even got in on the act, earning an Oscar nomination in his first and only Scorsese film. Famous for making mob flicks like Mean Streets, Goodfellas and Casino, Scorsese's return to the mafia world was a lot different than many were expecting, being a much slower film than the usual high-octane, fast-paced Scorsese flicks of old, more concerned with ideas of death, redemption, old age and the passing of time. The movie was a critical hit, garnering an impressive 10 Oscar nominations, and 1 year on from the film's release, Scorsese took time out with Empire magazine to look back on The Irishman, a film that he says he thinks a lot about. I've already made a video about a short extract of this interview a few days ago, about the bit that Scorsese discusses near the end, as Empire had released this bit of the interview for free, but I've now got my hands on the entire interview, and it goes as follows. The interviewer says, "The Irishman had a theatrical run. It's been on Netflix for a year. How do you feel about it being released as a physical entity, a Criterion release, on good old shiny discs?" And Scorsese says, "Well, I like that very much, because it is a movie. Along with other films in the Criterion collection, it takes its place as an actual film. Apart from releases or length, theatre windows, streaming, it is still a film. It is not mitigated by the climate of the time that it was released." And the interviewer then asks, "When you read the book, did you immediately know that you would focus on time, age, regret as themes? Was that clear straight away?" "That was pretty clear, because the action throughout the piece I'm familiar with. I have staged and expressed it in other ways in other movies. This was different. Because of the way the book was written, and because of the interviews that Charles Brandt did with Frank to the end of his life, it's interesting to me, because that's where we're all headed, the sense of longing, and some regret, and understanding his defeat as a person, morally. He understands it at that point. Can he change? It's too late. Well, it's too late to express that change, although he tries. So he has to feel it in himself. He has to come to some sort of peace with himself. I'm not quite so sure he gets there, but he's trying. I just thought it was interesting that at the end, some do reach that point, do think about their lives, and do think about meaning." The interviewer then says, "The way it's filmed and edited is different from the likes of Goodfellas, because of the milieu it's dealing with. Was it interesting to you to subvert what had been done before?" "Well, pretty much I felt that it was a reaction against it. It was time to stop it. The core of Goodfellas was the provocation, the allure of crime, and irresponsible behavior, which I was then criticized for greatly by a lot of people and by wonderful directors. In America, a couple of Italian restaurants wouldn't allow myself and Nick Pileggi to frequent them. I wanted to infuriate people that way because what is that joy of irresponsibility? I have it in myself in different ways. What is that joy? Is it just immaturity? What is our fascination, or our embracing of the Johnny boys of the world, the ones who don't play by the rules? You find that a lot in politics now too. I can understand as a young person there's that impulse to be violent, but you can see in Goodfellas too how far that could go. Pesci's character is killed off. Henry winds up in the witness protection program. Jimmy winds up in jail. There is that danger of the allure. In Goodfellas, by the end of it, I wanted people to be angry at themselves for enjoying it. I really did. We have to understand that in ourselves, we may be capable of such a thing, in different ways. There are people in finance, in politics, in certain stratas of society who are in the same kind of delirious hallucinatory life. And so what is that? The moth to a flame in our human nature. I wanted to get people thinking about it. But the danger there is that you'll also enjoy it. It's the same thing with the Wolf of Wall Street when he takes the Quaaludes and he has to crawl to the car. We're laughing. Why are we laughing? Are you trying to get it both ways as a filmmaker? I don't know. I know that that's funny. I've been in situations like that. It's not nice, but a lot of things that are not nice are funny. And let's explore it. By the time you get to The Irishman, there's no more time for that. And he's gotten past that. The Irishman is dealing with the sense of who we are, the violence in us. I said, I know what to do here. It's got to be, will he and can he review his life, and the price he has to pay. The priest forgives him, God forgives him, he can't forgive himself. So that's where we're going, right from the beginning. I said to Steve Zellane, it's about morality. The interviewer then says, let's discuss some sartorial choices. Firstly, the pajamas scene with Frank and Jimmy. There's a Bert and Ernie vibe to it. Yes, you know, these are men on the road. He's a bodyguard confident. You think he's going to sleep in another suit down the hall? He's got to be with Jimmy. He's got to be next to him. There's a gun on the night table. Very important. And they hang around in their pajamas. It reminds me a little of a scene I loved in Don Siegel's The Killers, with Lee Marvin and Clu Gulager talking in a hotel room, and they're washing their dry drip shirts. The dry drip shirt in the 60s was a big deal. You just wash it and you didn't have to press it. It's just practical, guys, come on. It's very intimate because Jimmy's got to be there and they trust each other that way. It's kind of nice. The interviewer then says, then you have Tony Pro in his little shorts. That's outrageous. Actually, it's Florida. You do that. We were kids from the Lower East Side. There were no pools. To go to a pool was a big deal, and that was a place called Ravenhall, a public pool in Coney Island. That was where the neighborhood people went, but there were also wise guys. Wise guys would never go in the pool. They'd just be playing cards in these little cabanas. And they'd be wearing cabana sets just like what Tony's wearing. A jacket that had a collar with lapels, terry cloth, nice design. Hawaiian usually. That's what they wore. So Tony, in Florida, that's what he's wearing. What's the problem? Highly disrespectful to come to a meeting like that, dressed that way. That scene is almost like something from Curb Your Enthusiasm, says the interviewer, to which Scorsese replies, really? And then the interviewer clarifies, in a good way. And Scorsese says, I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. The interviewer says, I mean, when they're discussing how late is late, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 12 and a half? And Scorsese replies, yeah, because Bob's character is trying to make a joke of it. Because this is all going to go wrong. You know what it took to get to that meeting? And it's going to go wrong because they're arguing over 10 as opposed to 15? Someone's going to get shot. Someone's going to die in that moment. They've got to make a joke about those extra few minutes. But I take it as a compliment in terms of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And it is funny. If there's a glimmer of humour, Frank is going to jump in there and make it funnier. The poor guy sitting there, Tony Jack, saying, yeah, it was bumper to bumper. Bumper to bumper is one word. Yeah, it was bumper to bumper. What do you want from me? We were laughing. The build-up to Hoffa's murder, says the interviewer, is so loaded with foresight and anticipation, but when it happens, it's so underplayed and grounded. There's no music. The drama comes purely from the way De Niro carries himself. That's right, says Scorsese. De Niro goes into this house, and there's a guy that we've never seen before, Sally Buggs, and he says, hi, Frank. And he says, hi, Sally. Frank doesn't know that Sally's going to be there. He wasn't told. We never met this guy, yet they know each other. Is Sally there to kill me? Interesting. Then De Niro just cases the house. He walks through to the kitchen where there are two other guys sitting at a table, whom he doesn't know. He then goes behind the wall, opens the door to the back. He comes back, he goes to the window. The way he moves through the house is when I realized that was basically the essence of the movie. Every step he takes, there could be somebody with a gun to shoot him. When he kills Jimmy, he looks for the moment to see if there's anybody there to kill him. I wanted you to stay in that experience, and also the method of the whole operation, the methodical nature of what he has to do. Every moment, every second, every breath he takes is leading to catastrophe, and he's got to do it, he has to do it, and so we do, with him. And the simpler I thought, the better. It's about the deliberate nature of his own suicide, morality. How do you feel about the film now that it's been out a year, absorbing reactions to it? And Scorsese said, I like that people appreciated it. I was very touched by that. This COVID, this pandemic, has stopped a creative process. I turned in on myself, particularly the first couple of months when we were locked in our houses, and it eliminated a lot of distraction. I have to find a way to get back to a singular creative impulse for my new film the way I had for The Irishman. Cut away all the award ceremonies, all that stuff, and get back to being in a room alone with the projector and wondering if I can do something again. With The Irishman, we achieved what I wanted to do. Whether it's great or good or not, I don't know. I know I could watch it. What I mean is I have to go back and find that spark. I don't know if I can, but the pandemic has made it almost obligatory to go and find it, because everything else is gone. Normal life is not there anymore. So what do you have? You have people you love, family, and you hope a creative spark, and maybe that can be rekindled for a new film. But I keep going back to Irishman, thinking on Irishman. I use that experience as a lesson. For more videos, consider subscribing to the channel, and thanks for watching.